gotta believe it.
It just kind of seems like it's what it was meant to do.
What?
It's cool because that LED strip up there
Kind of hits the.
Oh shit.
Isn't that cool?
it'd be. I'm almost thinking if we back the car up slightly. You know what I mean?
Now that's dedication, buddy.
Yeah.
She's screaming, I'm being stolen.
My key is not detected. Oh, shit.
What's funny is it doesn't even do anything. You can still drive away with it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I've been thinking about this car. So far I've driven it probably about 5,000 miles in total. Did the oil change, routine maintenance. Did the tires, which is just seasonal, like I had to do it because Minnesota sucks. And I wanted to daily this car, so that's irrelevant. Other than that, I haven't really spent much else on needing to repair or make modifications to the car. And I say needing as a keyword because I don't have to buy anything for this car. It hasn't needed anything. The only thing I would consider doing soon is routine maintenance, but it hasn't been driven a lot because I'm working from home. So I'm not too terribly concerned about doing that urgently. I also know that the transmission fluid is pretty good. The diff fluid, I believe, is also in reasonable condition. So I'll just do it for the sake of doing it because I just bought this car and I want to take care of it. And I want it to last longer than 202,000 miles. So definitely it's something that I'm going to look forward to doing when it gets nice. But at the moment it's just unreasonable to do. And since I don't absolutely have to do it yet, I'm not going to do it because I want the experience of doing it. People in Minnesota, that is one thing that I do like. Still cold, so I'm not terribly digging into it yet. Transmission shifts buttery smooth, nothing to complain about there. So one little thing that I love about Minnesota is that you have the small towns like the one I'm from.
Stay in the second lane from
Then
right.
you have the sprawling cities. Now, this city that I'm in currently
Save 4 minutes via I-494 South.
isn't really sprawling per se, but it's enough to where you can find a job very easily in virtually any field, quite frankly. You could go the standard traditional route, become a
Use the
doctor,
right lane to keep right to merge onto
a
I-94
nurse.
East. Use the right lane to keep right to merge onto I-94 East.
Yeah. Anyway, so you could virtually get any job, right? I could get an IT job if I really wanted to be in Rogers. And quite frankly, in my town, I could get a job for the county, but I chose not to because I didn't want to limit myself, because the pay threshold was much lower for the county than the city, than the state. So the way I make my money, or the way I got to where I am, is I started McDonald's in high school. I learned to be driven and motivated, and I want to emphasize the keyword learn, because honestly, I wasn't that great of a student in high school. I had issues, which I won't get too much into, but I had to realize that money
In 8.3 miles, take exit 216 to merge onto I-494 South.
never gets old. Anyway, I learned that money was a way that I was going to get what I wanted. So it started, I was a heavy gamer in high school. It started with me wanting to earn money to buy the new Xbox 360, buy the new Xbox One, and not have to rely on anybody, because quite frankly, when I was younger, we didn't have a lot of money, that wasn't an option. So finally, when I grew older, I realized that the best way that I was going to get what I wanted was to make my own money. As I stated in previous videos, I wasn't the best with money because, again, I never had that education. I never had financial literacy. It, preached to me too much. So I spent money needlessly. And as I got older, I started working harder and harder. Out of high school, I was working roughly 60 to 70 hours a week, which might not seem a lot of people. But to me, who was out of high school, never worked a day in his life, with the exception of part-time in high school, that was a lot. And seeing those paychecks, mind you, I wasn't making a lot of money. I was making maybe like $500 every 2 weeks. But seeing what my potential was, going from part-time to full-time and putting in the hours, I knew that if I could get a job, or a career in my case, that was secure enough to where I could make good money and get what I wanted while living comfortably, then I'd be happy. So I got my education eventually, because I didn't want to go directly to college. My first year out, I wanted to figure myself out. And it might sound silly to a lot of people, but there is a need for that. So I spent a year not working, not going to college. A year in, I decided to go to college. I was stupid, I didn't take it seriously. And then finally I got tired of making broke money. I got tired of making minimum wage, or virtually minimum wage, with a couple dollars extra. It was nothing to be proud of. I had a conversation with my brother-in-law, and he was like, I have no idea how you manage to survive with what you're making. But to me, it was normal. That was my normal. That was my complacency that put me in that place. So finally, I decided to go to college, and I wanted to take the easy way out. I wanted to get into law enforcement, go 2 years, do what I needed to do, make my connections, become a detective eventually with hard work and dedication. So it wasn't necessarily the easy way out, but I didn't want to go to college for 4 or 5 years, maybe more. So I decided to go to college for 2 years, wrapped up my education, got a job in a prison for about a year, and seeing the lost potential my abilities to go back to college. So one day, I just did it. When I was younger, my mom would always tell me, you should go to school for technology, because I was the type of person, if I didn't know something, I would figure it out. I would learn what I needed to do to fix people's problems, and I wasn't getting paid for it. So finally I said, I'm going to go for that. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to end up doing, but I'm going to go for IT. That's all I know. IT is a vast field. You have to understand that. It could become network, it could become VoIP, which is voice over internet, more or less. And there's a lot of nooks and crannies where you can specialize in a field that pays extremely well, and you're rewarded for your education and your
In 2
experience.
miles, take exit 216 to merge onto I-494 South.
I also knew that I wanted a job and a career that I was valued, where I could go, I have this experience and this education, so you will pay me more, or the next company that I choose to go to will pay me more. And I did that. I've been leveraging my education and my experience, and over the course of, I'd say, I think it was about 3 years now. Yeah, close to 3 years. I've been leveraging my education and my experience, and my pay potential went from, I was making, well, let's just say my pay potential went up about 300%, give or take. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. But what the value I created there was through education and hard work. So, all that to say, now I'm an IT